It's because of me. It's my fault.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 more cartoon fan theories that will ruin your childhood.
I guess it was all in your head. Well, that's the power of suggestion for you. You get some rest now, sweetie.
For this list, we'll be looking at the most shocking conspiracies about animated shows and movies that will leave you questioning everything. If you think we missed any, be sure to check out our original video on this topic. Oh, and spoilers for what is actual canon. So put on your tinfoil hats and give us your best conspiracy theories in the comments down below.
Hey Mojoholics! For a chance to win cash prizes, play our live daily trivia challenges every day at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern only at WatchMojo.com/play.
Number 20. Dexter's family are clones. Dexter's laboratory. The most unbelievable part of Dexter's childhood isn't his out-of-this-world experiments. It's that his parents never catch him in the act. Especially considering Dee Dee isn't exactly stealthy.
Okay, thank you, dear. But I want to press the button.
It's all completely far-fetched. In fact, it's so far-fetched that some have begun to wonder if Dexter's parents are actually experiments too. The show's closing theme song alludes to Dee Dee making one of Dexter's inventions go boom.
But Dee Dee blows his experiments to smithereens.
That's a bit specific, don't you think? What if Dee Dee's curiosity cost her family their lives, and blaming himself, Dexter created exact copies of them? He's made clones before, and it would explain why his family is unfazed by just about everything. Number 19. Wolverine's Yellow Suit. X-Men, the animated series. When you think of the cuddliest members of the X-Men, Logan with his animanium claws probably isn't topping the list. But this one detail completely reframes all of Wolverine's actions.
Still don't know me real well, do you, North Star?
As the comic tidbit explains, when Logan storms into a fight, his classic blue and yellow suit isn't just a bold style choice. He intentionally wears bright colors in order to stand out more on the battlefield. The more focus there is on him, the less of a chance one of his teammates gets hurt.
Nice uniform, pal.
It's a silent bit of character insight that makes you realize, even when he claims otherwise, that Wolverine has always been a team player. Number 18. Calhoun killed her fiance. WreckIt Ralph. For the most part, cybugs become what they eat. Literally. However, that leads to a whole lot of grim implications, particularly for Sergeant Calhoun.
It's not her fault. She's programmed with the most tragic backstory ever. The one day she didn't do a perimeter check. Her wedding day.
Her entire character motivation hinges upon the fact that her fiance was devoured by a bug at their wedding. In return, she understandably shot the critter to bits. But if Turbo's future transformation is any indication, being eaten by a cybug isn't fatal. Sure, you grow a few extra legs, but you maintain your own free will. All that points to the idea that Calhoun is the only one responsible for her current single status. No wonder she's full of so much rage.
You die outside your game, you don't regenerate.
Number 17. Frankie Is Imaginary. Foster's home for imaginary friends. Anyone with eyes can tell Frankie and Madame Foster look alike in ways that go far beyond mere familial resemblance. But maybe that was intentional.
Hello? Grandma? What? You're where?
Madame Foster did always wish she was young enough to continue taking care of the home. And lo and behold, Frankie does just that, all the while sporting an outfit extremely reminiscent of her grandmother. They take care of a foster home for imaginary friends, so it's not too out there to assume that Madame Foster lives there too.
I haven't seen an imagination as pure as that since, well, me! Oh, but yeah.
For what it's worth, series creator Craig McCracken has publicly refuted this claim. But the evidence is pretty damning either way. And, you know, the internet knows better than the creator, of course. Number 16. Kristoff is wearing Svens' dead mom, Frozen. How did a boy and a reindeer become friends? Some eager Disney fans sought to answer that. But unfortunately, what they found wasn't merry or bright.
Get ready to jump, Sven!
You don't tell him what to do.
Hey!
I do!
As audience learned, Kristoff was raised in the woods by trolls. There would have been slim pickings for fashion, and coats are practically a must-have to protect any child from the cold. Since current day, Kristoff wears a jacket made of reindeer clippings. The natural conclusion is that he and his fixer-upper parents took it from Sven's mother.
Pull us out, Sven.
At the very least, Sven got a new parental figure out of it, but that doesn't make it any less haunting. Number 15, Comatose Danny Phantom. Danny Fenton got his ghostly powers by walking through a malfunctioning portal. Or so he thinks. This hypothesis asks, what if Danny never actually woke up from the accident?
Are you sure about this?
No, but you saw those things, those monsters, ghosts? Those ghosts were attacking our school.
Yes, this is another age-old, it was all a coma theory. But this one actually has some good points behind it. Each of Danny's villains could be interpreted as a figment of his repressed psyche.
I'll never turn into you. Never!
Of course you will. It's only a matter of time.
None more so than his parents, whose quest to capture ghosts could be seen as a metaphor for keeping Danny on life support. Need more convincing? How about the fact that Danny is literally half human, half ghost? In hindsight, it feels a bit on the nose. Number 14, Black Death, Monster Inc. The monsters do most of the actual scaring around here, but the kids' fear is very much mutual. Look no further than Sully himself. Just the mere presence of Boo has him practically showering in disinfectant.
It's coming! It's coming!
It begs the question, what do these burly monsters have to be so afraid of? Well, a popular Reddit theory argues that maybe the monsters entered the wrong kid's room during the bubonic plague. If they unknowingly brought that lethal virus back with them, then it makes sense why monsters are so frightened of interacting with humans again. Although, to be fair, Roz and her team seem pretty well equipped for another breakout.
None of this ever happened, gentlemen. And I don't want to see any paperwork on this.
Number 13, Kim Was Genetically Altered, Kim Possible.
I'm your basic average girl, and I'm here to save the world. You can't stop me 'cause I'm Kim Possible.
Kim's your basic average girl, or so says the theme song. But we don't know many teenagers who can kick butt like she can. No matter how much training she went through, it's still strange that a young girl could take on genetically modified supervillains. Unless, of course, Kim had been genetically enhanced too. Look at it this way. Both her parents are geniuses. Her younger brothers are already inventors, and she's a secret spy.
I had no idea how major your job is. I mean, it's brain surgery.
There's gotta be something in the water at their house, that's all we're saying. At the very least, Kim's frequent exposure to all of Shigo's energy blasts can't help matters either. Number 12, Simba Causes the Drought, The Lion King. Look, as much as we'd like to blame Scar for Pride Rock's decline, not even he can control the weather. But if this theory is to be believed, Simba can. He sees firsthand that the past kings of Pride Rock take the form of clouds in the sky, aka the rainwater that feeds the valley.
Somebody once told me that the great kings of the past are up there, watching over us.
It perfectly ties into the movie's message about lineage and the circle of life. Since Simba is the rightful heir, the former kings follow him on his journey with Timon and Pumbaa. Later, once Simba returns to Pride Rock to reclaim his crown, the rain follows him. Coincidence? We think not. Number 11, the Powerpuff Girls are one person, the Powerpuff Girls. Meet Brenda. She's your typical superhero girl. The only issue? Her brother ridicules her constantly, and eventually it becomes too much to endure. Brenda fractures into 3 different versions of herself: Blossom, who she wants to be, Bubbles, her innocent side, and Buttercup, who represents her mean streak.
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born.
The older brother becomes Mojo Jojo. That's the gist of this widely circulated Brenda theory, a fan idea so widespread they even gave the rumored girl a name. While Brenda herself hasn't ever appeared in canon, we can't deny that the girls do act like three sides of the same coin.
And he's only interested in good and goodness. Good, 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 good.
Maybe they were actually made with sugar, spice, and a brother who wasn't nice. Number 10, the Cars overthrew humanity. Cars. There's no tinfoil hats here. Instead, this suspicion came straight from the Cars creative director himself, Jay Ward. While he clarifies that none of his ideas are Pixar approved, he still personally addressed a few long-standing questions about the film. Like, why do the cars have doors if there's no people to use them?
Will you stop that?
Stop what?
That driving backwards stuff, it's creeping me out. You're gonna wreck or something.
His answer is pretty cut and dry. They were for humans. But one day, the cars didn't need people anymore, so they got rid of them. Ward likened it to the current evolution of real-life self-driving vehicles. If they ever gain sentience, we may be looking at an all-too-real live-action remake of Cars.
40 years ago, that interstate down there didn't exist.
Really?
Yeah. Back then, cars came across the country a whole different way.
Number 9. All the Simpsons are geniuses. The Simpsons. It's no small secret that this family is better known for their hijinks than their brains. But as much as it may pain Lisa to admit, she isn't the only bright member of The Simpsons. In fact, she may not even be the smartest. An episode in season 12 confirms that. Were it not for a crown in Homer's brain, he'd be a bona fide genius.
I was working on a flat tax proposal and I accidentally proved there's no God.
Apparently, he passed that on to kids too. All of them. Case in point, Bart crafts some pretty intricate pranks, and Maggie canonically has a higher IQ than Lisa. For all the trouble the Simpsons get into, it's clear that they're a whole lot wiser than they let on.
It's just that I used to be the smart one. Now I don't know who I am.
Number 8, Syndrome is Mr. Incredible's son, The Incredibles.
What the? Who are you supposed to be?
Well, I'm Incrediboy.
In a world with no shortage of superheroes, why does Buddy fixate on Mr. Incredible? Well, the answer may lie in their looks. Buddy and Bob Parr do have passing resemblance, especially in their jaw shape. Maybe unbeknownst to Mr. Incredible, their connection runs blood deep. While Bob is a family man nowadays, he and Helen were often stretched to their limits, pun fully intended. An affair or a one-night stand is not out of the realm of possibility. Plus, remember how Syndrome takes a surprisingly amount of interest in Mr. Incredible's family?
You married Elastigirl? Oh, and got busy! It's a whole family of supers!
Yeah, his actions practically scream red-headed stepchild. He's already got the red hair too. Number 7, Phineas and Ferb don't exist. Phineas and Ferb. Fair warning, after you hear this, you may not be able to see Phineas and Ferb the same way ever again. Still here? Good. Ever notice how Candace almost never busts her brothers?
See, Mom? I told you they weren't there.
Oh, hi, boys.
Hi, Mom.
Come on, Candace, help me with the groceries. Let's go.
Well, it's become such a running gag that many are starting to side with her parents. Maybe she's just imagining it all. The prevalent rumor is that Candace's brothers are a desperate ploy for attention that she conveniently shoves all her trauma onto. It sounds a bit odd, but keep in mind, this is a girl who semi-frequently hallucinates a talking zebra named Kevin.
Love the beard, Kevin.
Compared to that, imagining two tech-savvy brothers is nothing. Number 6, Ellie's infertility, Up. As if the opening scene isn't heartbreaking enough, some eagle-eyed viewers discovered something that might make it even worse. On paper, Carl and Ellie meet, renovate their home, lose their baby, and that's that. However, using Carl's age as a ruler, it's safe to assume their house was constructed before people knew about the dangers of lead paint. The prolonged exposure from a renovation would probably cause lead poisoning. Occasionally, that can lead to infertility too. While there's no way of knowing if this is true for Ellie, it's the closest thing to an explanation Up offers. Either way, it explains why Carl takes so long to warm up to Russell.
Are you in need
Thank you, but I don't need any help.
Number 5, avoiding the draft. Scooby-Doo, where are you?
Here it is, gang. Rocky Point Beach.
What a groovy spot for a beach party.
These meddling kids never seem to settle down in one place for more than a single episode. They don't appear to be going anywhere in particular either. So why waste all that gas? Thankfully, this is a mystery you don't need a Scooby snack to solve. The long-rumored answer lies in the political climate the series debuted in. See, the first iteration of Mystery Inc. hit screens in 1969, right at the height of the Vietnam War. The gang could have been avoiding the draft and had to keep moving to stay ahead of the authorities.
Well, maybe we can spend the night there. Yes, there.
It would also explain why there's so much crime in the world. Although, the monster costumes are still a mystery. Number 4, Wile E. Coyote is in hell. Looney Tunes franchise. Picture this. You're trapped in a desolate wasteland, constantly taunted with your wildest dreams, but they're always just out of reach. Oh, and all the while, an annoying pest keeps laughing at you when you fail. Doesn't sound too nice, does it? Well, that's been Wile E. Coyote's life for the better part of a century.
Meep, meep. Meep, meep.
Ever since his Looney debut, he's been humiliated, tormented, laughed at, and just about everything in between. All things considered, if this isn't some form of toon hell, we don't know what is. At this point, the only question remaining is what Wiley did to deserve this. Number 3, Peter Pan is a cold-blooded killer. Peter Pan. Apparently, there's a very simple reason why kids don't grow up in Neverland. Peter kills them before they have a chance to.
Peter Pan? You don't say.
It's hard to believe, but the original novel, Peter and Wendy, heavily implies that Peter has had to put some of the Lost Boys 6 feet deep. Even though it's not overt, the implications alone is enough to turn the film adaptation into a straight-up horror film. After all, what was Peter planning to do with Wendy and the others once they grew up?
Michael! John! We're going home!
Thankfully, we never have to see. But still, this is enough to prove that Neverland is full of more than just faith, trust, and pixie dust. Number 2, Mr. Krabs plans to use his daughter for Krabby Patties. SpongeBob SquarePants. If there's one thing in the world Mr. Krabs loves more than anything else, it's money. So it's very suspicious that he puts up with Pearl's spending habits. Actually, it's weird that his daughter is a well in the first place. Throw in the fact that Pearl's mom is nowhere to be seen, and the theory starts to write itself.
There, Mr. Krabs. I'm sure there's another way.
That's it, boy!
Maybe all this time, the secret to the Krabby Patty formula has been well meat. Their carcasses leave enough behind to feed entire ecosystems. And in Mr. Krabs' case, he has a second serving ready to go whenever he runs out.
SpongeBob! They're on to us, Mr. Krabs!
Yeah, remind us to never eat at the Krusty Krab ever again.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, allegory for substance use disorder, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Sleepy, happy, Doc, dopey, sneezy, bashful, and grumpy. They're the 7 dwarfs, but as it turns out, each of those emotions also represent a different stage of cocaine misuse and withdrawal.
There's dirty work afoot.
That's right. There's a lot of compelling evidence to suggest that Snow White is a thinly veiled analogy for drug use. It's not just with the dwarfs either. Little things like the setting and character designs all lend credence to this idea. Heck, the main character's name is Snow White. Classic fairy tale or not, once you see the signs, you'll never be able to unsee them. As they say, one bad apple and all that.
Don't let the wish grow cold.
Oh, I feel strange.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.